Wayne from Damage Undone. How you all doing? I want to introduce you to the Walcom Thermadry TD3 PRO, and let me explain a little bit more about it, the key features and how it works. So let's chat about the lower stage where all the filtration is. You've got your air inlet. This system, the TD3, requires about 20 to 21 CFM to run effectively and to get the hot air to your gun, which is about 17 FAD. If you only want to go for the TD1 because you're running a smaller compressor, you can run it on 13 CFM, which is about 8 FAD, and because you don't have to push that air through the filtration system. So it will operate, just the heating element and the hose will operate on lower pressure. Thank you to Star Smart Repairs for testing that section out. Now, your filtration system. Your first one is removes any water, moisture of the system. It's got an automatic drain. It's also got a manual. If you want to remove it, do that and just double check. You then move on to your cold air cell filter. So your water will take it down to 25 microns. Your cold ulcer will take, which is oils and subparticles, takes that down to 0.01 microns. And then you have, in between that and your third stage, which is your silica, you have an air outlet. And this is where you would plug in your air line for any of your power tools or any of your everyday tools that you aren't going to be using your spray gun with, because that's the end section that you don't need to have it heated. So that's where you'd connect that. You then have this brilliant piece of kit, which is the silica gels. Now the silica gels, they remove all the moisture from the unit. And so that when it's coming to the charcoal, which is your fourth stage, there is absolutely no moisture in it. You're getting dry air now at this stage. The charcoal will remove any vapor and hydrocarbonates, so oil, vapor and hydrocarbonates. It's quite a lot to take on board here, and that takes it down to 0.03, so even finer. Your air is getting cleaner and cleaner as it goes along, and drier. Finally, we come to the actual heating chamber and the Thermadry heating changer, and that's a 1 kilowatt unit. And works in all of this is a maximum of 12 bar, and that's where your air is going to be warmed up before it goes into the end here. And up here you have your heated air line comes out, as you can see, and that's plugged into the top here. So now let's take you up to the next stage, which is where all the brains of the unit are. So this is the brains of the system, your main control panel. Like I said, it runs off 110 or 240 depending on which country you're in. Switch it on, just as a sort of check, make sure everything's okay. You've got an LED display, and then you've got some of the control panel features which we'll come to. You can also get a remote control for this, which has 3 preset heatings on it, and I'm going to discuss that all now. So let's take you into the control panel and show you a little bit more about it. So on the control panel, and this is something that makes this unit amazing, really, the technology that's gone into it. You've got your main menu button that's going to scroll through to change any settings. You've got your OK to accept any changes that you make. You've got your T for temperature, so you can adjust the temperature if you're not happy with either of the preset settings, any of the 3 preset settings. You can adjust that. You've got the SRS, which is for silicon regen system, and that's a simple on-off button. And that's, when it comes to the regeneration, and I'll talk to you about that in a moment. I'm getting really tongue-tied today. It's a matter of, it runs for sort of 3 to 4 hours, depending on how long it needs to, how saturated your gel beads are, and then it automatically switches itself off. So it's a really standalone unit. You don't need to worry about it. THT is for your thermal heated air line, and that's a 1 and a 1 plus 2. That means you can run on the system either a single airline, heated airline, or a 2 heated airline system. Something else that you will have seen on here is the remote control, and you've got 3 settings on that remote. So you've got T1, T2 and dry. And basically what that means is T1 is for your base coat, which will be set at, it's preset at 42 degrees on the system. The T2 is for your clear coat, that's preset at 50 degrees, and then your dry is preset at 70 degrees, which is what we have already here, 70 degrees. So understanding the LED display. This first initial box, the really big one, is for your heating element, your 1 kilowatt heating element, and that's what it's showing you. And so it's currently on at around sort of fluctuating at around sort of 49 degrees centigrade. This bar here is showing your airflow through the actual heated system, and at the moment it's not enough's going through there to register it. Now the gun, the small box at the top here, that's what the gun temperature is set at. And obviously what I've set it up here is the 70, which is the dry, but I can move that by just simply pressing the button. I can move it down to 50, which is the T2, or 42, and that will automatically adjust the temperature in the heating chamber. So now the heating chamber for the T1, which is 42 degrees, is now 29.4, and then for the 50 degrees, it's 35. So that's how smart this system is. What I'm going to do is I'm going to switch this on to 70 degrees, and as the airflow comes through the unit, it's going to be a little bit noisy, but you'll see how this is going to start to increase in airflow going through it, and so will it at point of use. So I've got 100% air now going to the gun, and this has gone from 0, it's going to start building up. As the unit starts to get hotter with that airflow coming through, so will the airflow percentage that's going through the actual chamber. So we're now at 19, 20, 25, so it's building itself up. What I want to do now is give you a little bit more information about the Silica regen. Okay, so how do you regenerate your silica gel? It's really, really simple. You've got 3 viewing glasses on the actual filtration system, so you can see how saturated the gels are. At the bottom it's orange, so there's no saturation going on there. The middle one is starting to turn dark, so the saturation is coming down through the unit, and the top window is black, so the gel is fully saturated at the top there. So we can do a regen on this, and it's very, very simple to do. How do you know when you need to regen your silica beads? This is really simple. And as we go down, you'll see you've got orange for normal and green for saturated. And as I come down the system, you can see at the bottom, the beads are orange. There is a little bit of darkness there, but trust me, that's just the shadow of the lighting. But that is a nice orange color. But as I come up, they get darker, so they're becoming more saturated. Up to the top, where they're almost black. That means that I've probably got another couple of weeks worth of use out of it, and then it needs to be regenerated. So how does the regeneration work? To start the regeneration, you will need to have airflow come into this unit, which means you won't be able to run any of your tools when this is done, unless you set up a separate splitter airline and have a separate airline come through. So all you do on the control panel, and just reset it, is you go to SRS, you press on, and you can hear the air coming out now. The actual heating chamber is at 140 degrees, and the time will take 3 hours 59. So let me just stop that. So like I said, the heating chamber goes up to 140 degrees. The air comes into the unit, to the heating chamber, is warmed up to 140 degrees. It comes back to the silica chamber, and that warm air dries out the beads. The air that is not needed is then expelled, which is what you could hear through the side here, using this fancy piece of kit. So it's a really good system. You should get at least sort of 9 to 15 months worth of use out of those silica gels. But I'm going to talk to you now about the service pack. So after your initial outlay on this unit, the actual running costs of it, apart from the electricity for the heating unit, is, so I'm talking about maintenance, the yearly changing of the filters, etc., is incredibly low. Incredibly low. I was quite surprised actually. I had to say, are you sure you got that right? So for Walcom provide a service pack for this unit, and that service pack in the UK costs £320 a year. So we're looking at less than £30 a month. It's around £28 a month. And what you're getting for that is you are getting a water filter, a coal ulcer filter, a pack of silica gel, and 2 active charcoal filters. So that is your yearly service. That's it. That's all you need. You change your water and your coal ulcer once a year. You change your silica once a year. Even though it has that lifespan of 9 to 15 months, I would suggest using the service pack and just change them all at one time. And you've then got your active charcoal carbon, which needs to be changed twice a year, which is why you get 2 filtration systems on there, 2 filters on there. And so for running cost, it has to be one of the cheapest that I have come across on the market. Now, that doesn't mean that the quality of the product in there is cheap. It's not. There is nothing cheap about the build of this item. You know, the thought process that's gone into it, even down to the remote control, the technology up here in the computer system, the robustness, the finish, it just oozes quality. And confidence. Confidence. The fact that you know you've got that clean, dry air coming to your job is reassuring. All right, I know what you're shouting at me. You're shouting, Wayne, shut up. We don't want to hear about the TD3 anymore. We want to see what are the effects on the paint job. How does it affect your everyday spraying? All right, so I already had a benchmark to work with. I already had a heated airline system from another company that I've been working for the last 2 years. And it was really good. It made a big difference to my workshop and my working environment, and I really didn't regret buying it. It gave me clean air and it gave me warm air. However, having used this over the last month, it's totally different. Totally different. This is so much more advanced. You do pay a little bit more money for it, but what you're getting is you're getting that extra 4th stage, so you're getting the silica gels, which remove absolutely all the moisture from there. I found that I'm getting sort of 40, 50, maybe even 60% more heat to the end of my actual airline. And when I'm using the fan jet, which is just down here, so when I've got it on dry and I'm using this fan jet down here, I'm getting 55 degrees of temperature, and it gets hot. I'm finding myself having to sort of move my hand around because it gets that warm. Something I've never had to do with that other unit, even when I've had it set at its maximum. So yeah, big difference I saw with that. With regards to the paint work itself, I've had to make some notes because there's so much to tell you about this unit. The paint goes on nicer. You're getting that warm air coming to your gun, so it's warming the gun up. And obviously when you're working with a Walcom gun, they retain that heat a lot better as well. And you can feel that warmth actually in your hand. So the painting goes on, the way that the base coat lies is better. You're flashing off your base coat or drying your base coat between coats using the using the fan jet or similar, and then setting it at the 70 degrees. That increases that speed. So I'm improving the way the paint goes on, and I'm also increasing the time it's taking to, decreasing the time that it's taking to go through the process because of the drying technology on it. Because you've got warm air coming to your gun, You know, this might not affect you guys in a nice warm booth, but for us other guys out there, your warm air is thinning out the viscosity of the paint. So that's helping the paint go through the gun and lay a lot better as well. And what I have found with base coat and clear coat is I'm getting a savings in the amount of product that I'm using. So I'm not actually using as much product. And so that's meant that I've had to readjust my calculations on how much to mix up. So it's pretty much savings all around. Saving in time, saving in consumables, and just getting a lovely finish. So really, really like it. How does it work for me? Because of the unit that I'm working in at the moment, things are changing. So in the winter months, which we're in now, I'm spraying. I find I like to spray actually my base coat on the, so if it's a bigger job, I like to spray it on the clear coat setting, which is 50 degrees. And my drying is at 70 degrees, that's fine. If I'm doing a really small job, then I just leave it at 70. So I'm doing my drying and my basing at 70. I wouldn't base a large job at 70, you get some dry patches, which is, I've had that. With regards to clearing, I actually dropped that down to the base coat setting of 42, and the reason for that is because I like to wear an air-fed mask. Now, I don't want to have two airlines trailing around inside my body shop. I'm a one airline guy, so I have it hooked in. Now, there's no way I could have it hooked in at anything above 40 degrees. It still gets pretty warm in that helmet. And the air is really dry. Walcom say that the air is probably too dry to be using in an air-fed mask. For the last month I've been doing that and I've had no issues. In the summertime, I would drop it down to 20 degrees and it would still work really well with my clear coat anyway. So that's a little tip for you on that. Yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. As always, if you've got any questions or you want to ask anything, or you've got some tips, or you've used this machine, you want to see it, just send them over to me. So like I said, you've got this complete unit, which is the TD3 Pro, but if you're not running it, if you cannot provide an air pressure of 20 CFM or above, or 17 FAD or above, this is not going to work. The filtration system requires too much of an airflow. So you can then go for a TD1, which is just a heating unit and the computer on the top, and that will work with, so if you're a mobile guy, that will work with 13 CFM of air. As I said, it's been tested by Ross from Star Smart Repairs, and he's been really satisfied with that. So it's good to get that other feedback as well. He did try it with this, but it just couldn't cope because you need that airflow going through the system. That hits the heating chamber. The heating chamber with the air that comes through it, as you saw, as the pressure increases, the heating chamber air increases. It warms it all up, goes into the air-fed line, heated air line, and then out to your gun. That brings me to one more thing before I say goodbye, which is how does the heated air line, I can't believe I almost missed it. So the heated air line, it plugs into the computer system here. There's a little electric wire that runs all the way down the whole length of your heated air line, and so you've got your hot air coming out of here, and as it goes down the cable, that heat is maintained because that heating element that runs down the whole cable of the whole length of your airline. So a really good feature, something that I found that makes is different to the other system that I've used. I found that the heat is warmer through the airline as well. The trick that I use for ensuring that I'm going to get the warm air to the end here when I start spraying is I will always switch this unit on 5 or 10 minutes before I start spraying, and that allows the airline just to warm up. So then when I'm actually using and the heating chamber's working, the air is coming through. So little simple things, but just things that might work. And I have seen the difference when I've forgotten to switch it on and gone straight into start painting to having pre-switched it on and warmed everything up. The airline itself is When it's heated up, it's really flexible, it's easy to move around the workshop. When it cools down, obviously it becomes quite rigid, but you're not using it cooled down anyway, so it's never going to be an issue. You just wrap it up and put it aside. If it's any air, any sanding or anything you're doing in that, you'll be using your separate air line which connects just before your silica stage. That's it, I'm done. It's the TD3 Pro. I love it. I think it's great. It's a big investment, but if you've invested in it and you use it, you'll definitely love it. There are loads of demos of this going out, so contact Walcom if you'd like to have a demo. They've just got a new van in the UK run by Specky the painter or Craig, and he'll quite happily come out and give you a demo. Thank you all for watching.